trash near here so I can throw this onion skin in it?
No.
There's a bag in the kitchen.
Okay.
Why do you have skin for the fuck? Why did you carry it back?
Good question.
You were in the fucking...
dropped this onion skin.
What is wrong with you?
Okay, so
What made you come all the way back down, sit down, and be like, hey, I got this onion skin. What do I throw it out?
What is wrong with you?
I have brought you onion skin. Where do I throw it?
Onion skin.
Where do I throw it? Where do I throw it?
Where does onion go?
Where do onion go?
How is baby formed?
How is baby formed? Where do I form onion?
Between clown vomit and onion.
I mean, between clown vomit and onion is a clown digestive tract, I think.
Oh god.
It's coming together.
Oh dear, this background.
We're playing the feud.
No.
Yes.
Oh no.
What?
You're like
Oh god.
You're like
Suck
one of
it,
those punching things
bitch.
from Halo.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
The sword.
That was like copied off the scar from Unreal.
It's not a sword, it's a punching thing. It's a punching dagger. It's like a guitar or something.
Yeah.
Guitar?
No, guitar.
Oh.
Those round things are spikes, by the way.
Why are the round things spikes?
I was the
They're
one
the
who
only
made
things on this fucking image that could not possibly be spikes.
Yeah. Yeah, okay, so, I guess we should open with the lore behind this song.
Yeah.
It was on Group Therapy, which is Above and Beyond's radio show that I watch religiously every fucking week, and I liked it. Also, it's by Lane 8, and they're just pretty much always good, so... There.
Nice.
I don't really go looking hard for their stuff, because they're just good.
That's good enough for me. Like a song, just put it on you.
Yeah, it was just that simple. I like the song.
Yeah.
Why do they float away as little cotton balls?
I
I don't know, this skin is weird.
You should have been here for Scotland forever.
don't know. Oh god.
This skin is not even like pretty weird. It's
No,
just sort of
strange.
gross weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is like something you'd actually see a clown vomit up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is a bad acid trip.
Like
Mixed with clowns.
a clown would eat like a handful of like marbles and then just vomit this up.
Yeah.
And also I just missed I missed the
I mean,
Yeah, he was...
you did just describe the normal clown diet right there.
marbles.
Marbles.
But yeah,
Clowns are commonly known to eat nothing but marbles for weeks on end.
I missed that power up because it looks it's the only thing that I can hit that looks like a spike.
Yeah.
And I just missed all those because I wasn't paying attention. This skin sucks, my god.
You got 4 more minutes of this shit.
Yeah.
Full offense to the creator.
This is like a 5-minute long song.
My gosh, this is gross.
Hey, it could be worse. We could have stuck you with the 7-minute full version. I say 7 minutes. It was like 7 and like a quarter.
Yeah, no.
No.
Oh, the tempo shifts.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Oh no.
No. Oh, it was a
It looked like a spike.
It's a fucking spike.
Why?
The power-ups are spikes, and the spikes are circles.
So this is the torture sub one.
Yeah.
Oh god.
Goes against everything I know about Audiosurf. Okay, hit it this time.
It did, and it exploded into circles, which are the things you're supposed to avoid.
For some reason, it reminds me of the Armed and Delirious thing, where it's like people, as a prison sentence, should be told to beat Armed and Delirious without a guide.
Oh boy.
Oh boy.
Are you aware of the game Armed and Delirious?
No.
I think I've heard of it before, but I don't know what it is.
It's a fabulous content creator named Ross Scott, also known as Accursed Farms, has a nice review of
Oh
it.
yeah, I think that's a good idea.
It's also known, I think, as Granny in Germany and Dementia somewhere else. Basically, it follows the something of a grandmother trying to save her recipe book, I think, from a rabbit who looks like a gross man. And Well, you go to different planets that were made by the rabbit, and I mean that happens, and whatever happens there happens there, and Granny probably kills a few people.
So what's the point of like this big? Don't beat this without a guide.
The problem with Armed and Delirious, well, one of many problems with Armed and Delirious is that it doesn't make any fucking sense. Like, you know those fucking old-ass adventure game puzzles
Yeah.
that don't make any damn sense, where you have to combine the pipe with the sponge in order to make the bird want to pick it up, so that he slots it onto the flagpole and it catches the plane. Yeah, that's the kind of stuff that you're expected to solve in Armed and Delirious, except everything is bizarre-ass abstract shit from alien worlds in addition to that. And Granny is just an unpredictable character that, even though you control her, you can't really control her.
What?
So it's like Hylex with inane puzzle shit?
That's an extreme... It's an extremely generous interpretation.
Should we play it?
Oh god.
No.
Only if you want to fully emulate Windows 95.
It's time.
It's time.
Alright. So, here we go.
Yeah, this is the one I thought it was.
Yeah. Man, look at this. So this is Hands on the Water by Skyhill. They're the band that Dan Avidan was part of before he was in Ninja Sex Party.
Whoa.
And Gem Grumps.
Imgrumps.
It's an actually serious band.
Wow.
Not like a joke song band.
Which is what his current project is.
Yep.
Well, it's got fair. There's not a lot of what do you call it? I don't hear a lot of joke bands that are
Like
purposely there for it that got popular enough.
Yeah, like comedy bands.
Well, the only other ones I can think of off the top of my head are Tenacious D.
Yeah, I suppose that counts.
Tupperware Remix Party, sort of, but also they're just generally good music.
Yeah.
So
There's a lot of like semi-humorous stuff that's also just good out there, but not a lot of like straight up, it's just a comedy thing.
I can think of one comedy band, but it doesn't help because their music is in Italian. They're an Italian joke metal band, and yeah, it's not really quite as funny if you don't speak the language.
you gotta think how what do you call it? How different songs are in a different language because of how they rhyme. It's amazing when like songs can actually translate to English well.
Yeah.
I have unfortunately experienced all of these sort of blunt idiot translation. When you know, like there have been instances where in like dubbed anime where two characters are like singing a song, and because the original's in Japanese, they've got like set lyrics and a set like rhyme scheme and such. And then when they translate it, they decide to translate it literally. So there's no rhyme scheme, there's no rhythm, they're just sort of like badly talking
At each other. Really, if you're doing a dub and there's a fucking song break, just let it be in Japanese. Yeah, we don't understand it. Put some subtitles up, but it makes more fucking sense than trying to dub it over. It's not gonna work.
If you're feeling really adventurous, you might try to rewrite it, but to like fit in English.
Like one I can think of off the top of my head, because if we're playing the album is in the car, is Caillou and Albert off of their 20 Years album, Mein Hearts. It's in German. Like part of the song is in English, part of the song is in German. And it does not translate well from one to the other. Really, it doesn't.
Oh boy.
I think there's a human by username of Sapphire who, on her tube, does translated anime soundtracks that she's actually tried to fit into a sensible rhyme scheme while maintaining the necessary information.
Oh my gosh, I just remembered, now that I think about it, I don't know if it was her, but I remember hearing the Nichijou opening the song in English, and that actually sounded really good.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Oh, I should provide at least a little context for Mine Hearts. In the song, it's actually in German. I actually looked up the translation, and that's why I said it doesn't translate well. Because, no one in their right mind should try and make a translated version of that. It just doesn't work.
Oh, it's a Hollow Knight song.
Yeah.
Oh, something's going on in the top.
Error.
Skin error. Alright.
That's a skin error. Whatever.
Still play. Alright.
Let's see what happens.
Alright.
I think we've done this one yet, so.
So, this is the final boss theme from Hollow Knight. It's a pretty alright game, I think, but my brother thinks the contrary, which is definitely understandable.
See, I don't necessarily think Hollow Knight is a terrible game. I just think that it is extremely flawed, and that the people who like it have a bad tendency to never actually acknowledge its flaws. And it's flawed in such ways that are extremely bothersome to me, and so I don't like it. But if you're the sort of person who can look past them, then more power to you. I'm happy for you. But I spent my entire playthrough being salty.
Yeah, I was there firsthand to witness him being salty on his first playthrough.
He was sort of washing over my shoulder the whole game, because I wanted him there because I could have someone to salt with and to like argue with on the merits of the game design and stuff like that. And yeah,
but by the end of the game, he had unearthed a lot of the flaws. It was like,
It's like-
I can't argue with you there.
So, I think one of my big problems with Hollow Knight is that on some subconscious level, I want it to be Castlevania Symphony of the Night, and it's not.
Yeah, I think a lot of the problem is that Hollow Knight is like this. Whoa, this is like this 2D platforming game. It's like Dark Souls. It's like Dark Souls. Look at it, but it's really not very like Dark Souls.
It's not even close to Dark Souls.
Yeah.
I gotta say, the mechanic of your quote unquote souls becoming an enemy in the environment is interesting in concept, but in practice, a lot of the places you're most likely to die are the places with like instant death, or extreme area hazards and really tough enemies. That adding just one more of those to the situation isn't actually going to make the encounter more interesting. It's just going to annoy you. Throughout a lot of the game, I felt really discouraged to use magic because, frankly, I'm not great at it. So, giving up my healing resource for something that ultimately didn't deal a lot of damage unless I was willing to give up all of my massive upgrades, all of my massive upgrade charms to all kinds of other stuff that felt necessary. It just didn't seem sensible to me. And, I can deal with like Shovel Knight platforming, but I just don't like the way that the platforming controls generally. And the area design feels, first off, very repetitive, and second off, a little bland. Like, the game, because the game deals in such low health and damage values, the game doesn't have a lot of room for flexibility. Things either deal low damage, 1, or high damage, 2. So, so there's not a lot of wiggle room for enemies to deal, like, status effects, or, like, variable amounts of damage with different attack timings and different... It's always just here's an anime boy who deals damage. Or here's a tough anime boy who deals 2 damage. And as a result, a lot of the enemies end up feeling samey, even when their designs aren't actually that similar. Like, a lot of the explosive enemies just feel like the same damn enemy over and over that you avoid in the same damn way. A lot of the sword boy enemies feel like the same damn enemy over and over. And towards the end of the game, you have nothing to do with money, and so you have no incentive to actually fight most of the enemies.
Yeah.
Little
did you know, this is actually a Hollow Knight review disguised as an Audiosurf playthrough.
Yeah, you're welcome. All of this stuff sort of stacked up over and a lot more that, admittedly, a lot more is much more subjective. Sort of stacked up over the course of my playthrough to make me very salty throughout it, and I gotta say, I'd like to see these developers make something that maybe has a little more variety in it. Like, part of the reason that I like Dark Souls so much is because I can jump into it and, like, play the game a different way, like, immediately, and focus on different things when leveling up, and use a different weapon, and you make a different build and go a different route through the game. And Hollow Knight has the different routes, and that's kind of it. You don't really... It feels like you don't really have a lot of options in the game.
Yeah.
Unless you're absurdly good at it.
So is Hollow Knight the one where you collect, what, like, so is it like dust or something?
No.
No, sand. Sand.
No.
What?
I mean, Hollow Knight does collect dust in my game library. That's true.